Hey everyone, Coach Tanner here. Now, Sojourn can be a really tough hero to play, especially if your aim isn't the best, but in this video, I'll be teaching you exactly how to play her so that you can dominate in your ranked games. Before we get into the video, I need to tell you about the GameLeap website for Overwatch 2 that is releasing this month. It has step-by-step courses and strategies for every single hero. We're going to make sure that it is way better and way more in-depth than anything out there on YouTube. Make sure that you pre-order your sub at 50% off by clicking the link below. Alright, first thing we're going to do is go over Sojourn's abilities to get a good overview on how we're going to play her. First up, Sojourn's primary fire is a fast shooting projectile that generates energy when it hits a target. The energy that she gets is not based on damage you do, it's based on the target that you hit. So if you hit a normal target, you'll get 5 energy per bullet, and if you hit an armored target, you get 3.5 energy per shot, and these numbers are doubled if it is a headshot. She can charge up to 100 energy at a time, and after 6 seconds of not getting any energy, her energy will start to dissipate over 2 seconds. Next up, her secondary fire is a straight line hit scan beam that does damage based on the amount of energy that you have stored. The minimum damage her secondary fire can do with only 1 energy is 31 damage, with a maximum of 130 damage at 100 energy. What this means is that for every energy you have, the damage you deal is increased by 1. And since I know you guys don't want to do the math, I'll do it for you. At 70 charge, you can one-shot a 200 HP hero with a headshot. And at 100 charge, you can deal up to 260 damage, which will one-shot a 250 HP hero with a headshot as well. Knowing how much energy you have and how much damage you can deal in one shot can really be the deciding factor in which duels you're going to take with which enemies. Her power slide ability allows her to slide on the ground and jump anytime during the slide to get a huge vertical leap. With this only being on a 6-second cooldown, you can be using this a lot mid-fight to reposition or to escape. Her disruptor shot is an AoE orb that does the same amount of damage no matter where you are in the orb, and it does 51 damage per second up to a maximum of 210 damage total. This means that any support or DPS hero that gets caught in that orb is good as dead. And lastly, we have her ultimate, which quickly charges up her energy, allowing you to spam her secondary fire. With her ultimate active, her secondary fire will also pierce through enemies, allowing you to hit multiple targets with the same shot. And with her ultimate only lasting 9 seconds, you should be able to get 7 fully charged shot off during the ultimate. With that out of the way, let's get into playstyle. Sojourn can develop a few different type of playstyles depending on your team's composition and the players on your team. She can easily play hyper aggressively with dive if she has a great healer to pocket her like Zenyatta or Mercy. Even if you don't have a dive tank, if you and your pocket healer can abuse high grounds with Sojourn's great mobility, you can wreak havoc on the enemy team without them even contesting you. Most of the time though, you're going to be playing a mid-range poke playstyle. With this playstyle, your main goal is to poke the enemy tank until you hit 100 energy, and then try and use your secondary fire to either pick off a low health enemy or to push into an enemy that is separated from their team trying to get the pick. If you can't find any separated target or any low health target or even any backline target, then do your best to burst down the enemy tank by trying to land a headshot on them with your secondary fire. This gets into my next topic, which is your secondary fire's accuracy. This is going to make or break a godlike Sojourn player. Everyone wants to go for all those flashy kills with multiple headshot plays, but it's just not realistic. These plays sometimes land into your lap unexpectedly, but they're not really going to be consistent. So you have to start practicing how to actually land your secondary fire consistently, and I have a few great tips for that. Firstly, your crosshair can be a big factor in aiming with her secondary fire. I would suggest that you try out a dot or even a small circle at first, seeing how it works for you. These type of crosshairs usually allow you to pinpoint the enemy a lot easier whenever they move over your crosshair. Now, if they don't work for you, that is completely fine, and don't let this sway you. Now, my next tip might seem a little bit crazy, but try to aim less and let the enemy aim for you. What I mean by this is that you can keep your crosshair completely still after placing it somewhat near an enemy, but on head level or even body level, and then move yourself left and right, or allow the enemy to strafe into your crosshair, and then all you have to do is press one button to hit the shot. There's no fancy plays, no huge flicks, just a simple aim nearby and let movement do the rest of the trick. SOJOURN's Disruptor Shot is very easy to just use whenever it's off cooldown and get no value from it. A really easy tip to get guaranteed value from its usage is just not to use it as much. It has a lot of great niche uses to cut off enemies or even save your life. For example, if an enemy is running to a doorway or another small choke point that you can easily cut them off with, use your Disruptor Shot to pretty much guarantee the kill for your team. And another great usage for this is baiting an enemy Genji or other dive hero into a small room or passage and then shooting the Disruptor Shot at your feet. After that, you can safely stand inside the Disruptor Shot while shooting at the enemy Genji or whoever's there, and they either have to dash away or die. Another great usage for SOJOURN's Disruptor Shot is to separate the supports or maybe even a DPS from their tank. So what I mean by this is in a choke point, you can very easily shoot your Disruptor Shot behind the enemy tank, forcing the enemy supports or whoever's behind them to either back off or come forward, separating them and allowing you to pick them off one by one. Now, SOJOURN Slide is super fun to use, but you really have to stop yourself from just spamming it as much as you can mid-fight. There is a time and a place to use it, and that time is not to run into the enemy team for fun. The best time to spam your slide is either as soon as the game starts or whenever you're walking back from spawn after you die, where you can just slide to get there faster. Another great usage for it is to reposition after a fight. So maybe you're on the low ground and after a fight you wipe the enemy team, you should get back up onto the high ground or any hidden high ground positions using your slide. Now, most of the time, you're going to be using your slide in mid-fight, and this is where you really have to have some caution. Her slide is a guaranteed one-way trip, so if you unknowingly slide too far in the wrong direction, you're pretty much going to die, and there's nothing you can do to stop that. Take it from me, I have chased one too many kills to my death and not even actually gotten the kill. Whenever you find yourself thinking about sliding to chase for a kill, you need to just pause and think about what you're actually doing. If you have no support and your teammates aren't going to be able to follow up, maybe don't do it. But if your Genji's in there and your Winston's already in there, slide to that high ground position and secure that kill. But really be cautious whenever you're going to fight and chase for kills. Lastly, we have SOJOURN's ultimate. This is probably the most intimidating part of her kit, but like I said earlier, you must let the enemies aim for you. Everybody in this game likes to hop around and just jump and, do any kind of random movement that they can, but these movement patterns can be a lot more predictable than you might think. And especially when people are jumping around, if you have your crosshair set at head level, whenever they land, it's going to be a free headshot for you. With her ultimate being only 9 seconds, it can easily be wasted. So what you have to do is either wait for a fight to have already broken out to use your ultimate, or make sure the enemies that you're trying to kill aren't in a position to easily hide or escape. As soon as anyone hears you ult as SOJOURN, they're either going to turn towards you or run for cover. And with your energy constantly charging up, there's no point in saving your shots to try and hit targets that are more valuable than the tank, so make sure you just shoot anyone that you can. As soon as you pop that ultimate, any target that you see is a free shot and free damage. Every damage that you do is going to cause the enemy support to have to change targets, and the more damage you do to the whole enemy team, the easier it is for one of your teammates to be able to finish one of those targets off. Now, if you can't really find anybody, then just shoot the tank. It's really easy to even finish off a tank with your ultimate without them even really thinking. Her secondary fire with a big headshot can really deal incredible damage, and if you catch a tank off guard by hitting a big headshot, you can very easily finish them off with the help of your teammates. Another thing about her ultimate is that her secondary fire pierces through enemies, and everybody knows that enemies love hiding behind their tanks, so make sure that if you can't see anybody, just start shooting the tank and you're bound to make something happen. Now, I want to know if you guys have any tips for me for SOJOURN, and if you do, make sure you tell me in the comments below how you're playing SOJOURN and how you're dominating with her in your ranked games. Thank you all for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful day.